Hello and good morning all. Today we are going to start with the new topic of vascular disorders, and the topic from vascular disorders is varicose veins. Varicose veins can be asked for it can be asked for a 10 marks question or for the long question. So what are the varicose veins? These are the dilated, lengthened and tortuous veins. So definition of varicose veins is the veins which are dilated, lengthened and tortuous. These varicose veins mainly occur in legs. Also it can be occur in spermatic region, esophageal region, or in the lower end of esophagus, or in the rectum as hemorrhoids, etc. So in legs mainly it is due to erect position. So the peoples who are working for long time in erect position or erect posture or standing position, they will be predisposed for this varicose veins, like in teachers, or in it mainly occur in teachers or surgeons, etc., who are working for hours and hours in standing posture or erect posture. They will mainly have these varicose veins. Next we'll deal about the venous pump. So the return of venous blood from lower limb to heart will require a pump that is equipped with non-return valves. So what is venous pump is the return of venous blood from lower limb to the heart will require a pump or pumping action, and that should be equipped with non-return valves. The blood should flow from lower limbs to the heart, that is in unidirectional way. The valves should be in unidirectional way. The blood shouldn't come from those valves to the backward. Okay, so this pumping action is done by muscles, that is calf muscles. Those are the calf muscles, and the tone and the contraction of this muscle along with strictness or tightness of deep fascia, these will squeeze or milk the blood towards the heart. So the calf muscles along with the tight deep fascia that is present in the leg, that will cause squeezing or milking of blood towards the heart in unidirectional way because of the valves that are present in the lower leg. Therefore the primary cause of varicose vein is congenital paucity of valves. That means congenitally these valves are not effective or not doing their functions well, then they may cause varicose veins. Or when there is weakness or wasting of muscles, or when there is stretching of deep fascia. So what is congenital paucity of valves is the effectiveness of valve is not proper. It may be a congenital condition. Next one is weakness or wasting of muscles. That means if in the muscles, the calf muscles, they become toneless or they become paralyzed, they become weak. When there is paralysis, there will be wasting of muscles. So when these calf muscles are weakened, or when there is wasting of these muscles, like in condition of paralysis, their tone will be lost, they become toneless, and that's why they won't squeeze or milk the blood towards the heart properly. So that may cause this cause may lead to varicose veins. And third cause is stretching of the deep fascia. If the deep fascia is stretched, then these the calf muscles, the main function of deep fascia is they provide the tightness to these calf muscles. But if this deep fascia becomes stretched, then the muscles, these calf muscles also, they become relaxed, and the proper action of contraction of calf muscle won't takes place easily. That's why the blood from lower leg to the towards the heart will not be pumped properly. Their pumping action will be lessened, and that's why there will be the veins will get dilated because of the blood that is remained in the veins only. The pumping action of the veins is lost. Pumping action of muscles will be lost or it is weakened. That's why the blood will not be pumped towards the upward direction properly, and that will lead to varicose veins. So impairment of the function of pump is the main cause of these three causes, primary causes of varicose veins. Okay. Then on standing, whole weight of the column of blood is exerted on the walls. So why this varicose veins occur in mostly in erect posture in the lower limb? Because on standing, the whole weight of column of blood is exerted on the walls, and particularly it is on the communication between superficial and deep venous system of the legs. Normally what happens, the blood flow from the superficial system to the deep veins. Okay, normally the blood will flow from superficial system or superficial venous system to the deep veins, and then it is drained towards the heart. But in while in a standing position for hours and hours, the whole weight of the column of blood will be exerted on the walls, and this particularly occur in communication between the deep and superficial venous system of the legs. And these walls, the walls between superficial and deep venous system, they become weakened because of this whole weight of the column of blood. These walls become weakened, and that's why there will be a stagnation of blood in the lower limb, and that will lead to dilatation and tortuosity of the veins. Now we'll see the main walls that are affected. So the main walls affected are at the junction of long saphenous and femoral vein. This is the first wall that is affected, that is junction between long saphenous and femoral vein. Long saphenous is the superficial vein that will drain into femoral vein, and that will drain the blood to the heart. So when the wall between the long saphenous and femoral vein that is incompetent, then blood will flow backwards. There will be back pressure, and it will cause varicose veins. Another valve that may be easily affected, that is mid-hunter communication. Then another vein, that is sapheno-popliteal junction between saphenous and popliteal veins, and last one is on the either side of tibia and fibula. So these are the main valves that are affected, that is junction between long saphenous and femoral vein, then mid-hunter communication, then sapheno-popliteal junction, and either side of tibia and fibula. Okay, these are the varicose veins, the dilated, tortuous and lengthened veins in the lower limb. Okay, if the valves are absent, valves in the lower limbs are, if congenital absent valves, then, or when the valves are incompetent, that means the control of the valves is lost, then it causes high back pressure on the standing and high back pressure on walking and running, as because the blood is squeezed from deep compartment to the superficial veins. So what happens in standing position or while walking or while running, the blood will be squeezed from deep compartment to the superficial vein, and these superficial veins will dilate and they become tortuous because of incompetency of these walls. These are called as varicose veins. So these are the causes of varicose veins. Then there is another cause, that is secondary varicose veins. Secondary varicose veins occur when there is obstruction to the venous return. Obstruction to the venous return by tumor or during pregnancy or by thrombosis. So if there is any tumor that is present in the lower leg, then the venous return from below the tumor that won't take properly, and that's why the below the tumor or below the thrombosis that has occurred in the vein, those veins will become dilated and tortuous. Then in pregnancy also, because of the gravid uterus, the pelvic veins, there will be back pressure on the pelvic veins, and they will lead to formation of varicose veins in pregnancy also. So these are the secondary varicose veins, and the secondary varicose veins are because of obstruction of venous return by tumor or during pregnancy or by thrombosis. Then one more entity is there, that is fistula varicosities. It occurs in the varicose veins occur below the 20 years of age, and it may be due to congenital arteriovenous fistula. When there is a fistula present between the arteries and veins, a fistula that is present between the artery and veins, so the blood from artery will enter into the venous compartment, and because of that there will be stagnation of blood in the venous compartment, and that will lead to varicose veins. Now the symptoms of the varicose veins. These symptoms will depend upon the high back pressure. There will be tired and aching sensation in whole lower leg, especially in the calf muscles, and that will increase towards the end of the day. So main clinical feature of varicose veins is tired and aching sensation in whole lower legs, mainly in the calf muscles, and that will increase towards the end of the day. There will be sharp pain in grossly dilated thigh veins. If the thigh veins are grossly dilated, then there will be sharp pain. Then there will be itching of skin over the varicose veins. Itching over the varicose veins will be present. Okay, next point is clinical examination. It may be widespread, the varicose veins may be widespread or to any one of the vein, and when the varicosity or varicose veins they are present in the saphenous veins, then that condition is called as saphenovanix, that is varicosity of saphenous vein. There is one test in clinical examination that is called as Brody-Trendelenburg test. What we have to do in Brody-Trendelenburg test is you have to lie down the patient on his back, and you have to raise his legs to empty the veins. You have to empty the legs by raising the legs. Then when it gets emptied, then you have to apply a tourniquet just below the saphenous opening. You have to apply a tourniquet just below the saphenous opening. Then ask the patient to stand up. Then the constriction, that is the tourniquet that should be released, and if the saphenofemoral wall is incompetent, then vein will fill immediately from above. If the saphenofemoral wall is competent, then vein will fill slowly from below. That is the Brody-Trendelenburg's test. Once again I will repeat. You have to lie down the patient on his back, that is patient lies on his back. You have to raise his legs to empty the veins. You have to empty the vein. Then when the veins become emptied, then you have to apply a tourniquet just below the saphenous opening. Okay, just below the saphenous opening you have to apply a tourniquet. Then ask the patient to stand up. Then you have to release the tourniquet, that is constriction should be released. And if the saphenofemoral wall, the wall between saphenous vein and femoral vein, is incompetent, when it is incompetent, then vein will fill immediately from above. Okay, and if the saphenofemoral wall is competent enough, then the vein will fill slowly from below. That is the Brody-Trendelenburg's test. Now the treatment of varicose vein. You have to give the palliative treatment in pregnancy, and if the patient is not fit for operative procedures, then you have to give the palliative treatment. And the palliative treatment is elastic stockings. You have to advise the patient to apply the elastic stockings or crepe bandages. Then there is one therapy that is called as sclerotherapy. It is a injection compression therapy. It is mainly done when the varicose veins are below knee, and if there is recurrent varicosity after the operations, then you have to go for sclerotherapy. The sclerosant that is used in sclerotherapy is ethanolamine oleate 5%. That sclerosant will cause thrombosis and later on sclerosis of the vein. First, the vein should be emptied. Then the sclerosant is applied. The satisfactory occlusion will occur when sclerosant will act in sufficient concentration. You have to apply the sclerosant in sufficient concentration, then there will be sclerosis or occlusion of that vein will occur. If excessive sclerosant is applied at one site, that may reach into the deep vein, and that will cause deep venous thrombosis, that is DVT. That is the sclerotherapy. Injection compression, that is called as sclerotherapy. It is mainly done when the varicose veins are below knee and when there is recurrent varicosities after operation. The sclerosant that is used is called as ethanolamine oleate 5%. That will cause thrombosis and later on sclerosis. Before this applying the sclerosant, vein should be emptied, and then you have to apply the sclerosant in sufficient concentration, and that will cause thrombosis and sclerosis of that vein. And if excess of sclerosant is used at one site, then that may reach to the deep vein, and that will cause DVT, that is deep venous thrombosis. Then there is a surgical treatment, that is ligation. You have to ligate and divide, that is ligation and division of the veins into which high pressure leak from deep venous system has occurred. So ligation and division is the surgical treatment. Then there are some complications that may occur in varicose veins, like thrombophlebitis of superficial veins. That is, inflammatory changes will occur in superficial veins. Then there will be eczema on the varicose veins that may occur. So we have seen that a clinical feature of varicose veins is itching. Because of itching, patient scratches over the varicose veins, and there may be again eczema may form on the varicose veins. And if again patient scratches over that eczema, then there will be ulceration on those varicose veins, and that condition is called varicose ulcers or venous ulcers. Another complication, that is venous ulcer. It is either on varicose veins or following deep venous thrombosis. So these are the complications, that is thrombophlebitis, inflammation of superficial veins, eczema, and later on venous ulcers may form. Okay, so these are the varicose veins that occur in the lower leg. But there are some other varieties, that is esophageal varices or hemorrhoids, that may also come under the varicose veins. That is, what are the esophageal varices? They are dilated tortuous veins in the lower end of esophagus, and these esophageal varices will occur because of portal hypertension, when there is increased pressure in the portal vein in conditions like liver cirrhosis. So when there is portal hypertension, that will cause back pressure on the esophageal veins, and these veins becomes dilated and tortuous, and those esophageal veins will protrude into the esophagus, and because of dilated and tortuosity of veins. So these are called as the esophageal varices. This is one entity, and other one is hemorrhoids. That is, we have completed this topic, that is hemorrhoids. This may also occur because of portal hypertension, as this portal system, portal veins, doesn't have any walls in the vein. So there will be back pressure again to the lower part of the rectum, and the rectal veins will become dilated and tortuous because of portal hypertension also, and that will also lead to dilatation and tortuosity of the rectal veins, and that will cause hemorrhoids. So these are the two entities. Also in esophageal varices, that is dilated and tortuous esophageal veins, when they become rupture as the food goes, as this esophageal veins, they will protrude into the esophageal lumen. In the lumen of esophagus, they will protrude. So when the food bolus goes up to those veins, the food may rupture those dilated and tortuous veins, and patient may have hematemesis also. So these are other two entities, that is esophageal varices and hemorrhoids. So this is all about the varicose veins. I will briefly summarize it again. Okay, vascular disorders. The first topic from vascular disorders is varicose veins. These are the dilated, lengthened and tortuous vein. These varicose veins mainly occur in legs, but it may occur in spermatic region, in esophageal region, and in the rectum, that is esophageal varices or hemorrhoids. That is, esophageal varices means dilated, tortuous, lengthened veins in lower end of esophagus that may protrude into the lumen. And hemorrhoidal rectal veins may also get dilated. These two conditions may occur in portal hypertension when there is back pressure in the portal system. Then esophageal varices may occur, and in when there is dilated tortuous rectal veins, then that will lead to hemorrhoid. So it in legs mainly it is due to erect position, like in teachers or surgeons, etc. Then what is venous pump is, there is a return of venous blood from lower limb to heart that will require a pumping action, and the pumping action is by the calf muscles, the muscles of the leg. Because of tone and contraction of this muscle as well as tightness of the deep fascia will squeeze or milk the blood towards the heart, and this as this lower the veins in the lower leg, they have non-return walls also. So therefore the primary cause for varicose vein is congenital paucity of walls, weakness and wasting of muscles, and stretching of the deep fascia. And the main walls that are affected are junction of long saphenous and femoral vein, mid-hunter communication, the saphenopopliteal junction, and either side of tibia and fibula. So how the varicose veins look like, see in the picture. The another cause is when the walls are absent or the walls are incompetent, then there will be high back pressure on standing or while walking or running. The blood is squeezed from deep compartment to the superficial compartment, and the superficial veins becomes dilated and tortuous. Then there is secondary varicose veins that will occur in tumor or pregnancy or in thrombosis because of obstruction to the venous return. Then fistula varicosity may occur below the 20 years of age when there is congenital arteriovenous fistula. The symptoms of these varicose veins will depend upon the high back pressure. There will be tired and aching sensation in whole lower leg, especially in calf, and that will aggravate towards the end of the day. There will be sharp pain in grossly dilated thigh veins, and there will be itching of the skin over the varicose veins. As patients, there will be itching on the skin over the varicose vein. Patient will scratch over the varicose vein, and the scratching may lead to ulcer formation, and it will lead to venous ulcer formation. Okay. Then while doing the clinical examination, you have to do the Brodie-Trendelenburg test. That is, patient lies on his back. You have to raise his legs to empty the veins. As the veins becomes empty, you have to apply a tourniquet just below the saphenous opening. Then ask the patient to stand up. Then the constriction, that is tourniquet that is applied, is released. If the saphenofemoral wall is incompetent, then vein will fill immediately from above, and if the wall is competent enough, then vein will fill slowly from the below. That is the Brodie-Trendelenburg test for varicose veins. And the treatment for varicose veins is palliative treatment, that is in pregnancy, and when the patient is not fit for operation, then you have to go for palliative treatments, that is you have to apply elastic stockings or crepe bandages. Then injection compression therapy, that is sclerotherapy. It is done below the knee when the varicose veins are below the knee, or when recurrent varicosities are there after operative procedures. And the sclerosant is applied, that is ethanolamine oleate 5%. That will cause thrombosis and later on sclerosis. First the vein should be emptied, then you have to apply the sclerosant agent. That will cause, when there is satisfactory occlusion will occur, then sclerosant will act in sufficient concentration. Excess of sclerosant at one site may reach to the deep vein, and that will cause DVT, that is deep vein thrombosis. The surgery for this varicose vein is ligation and division of those veins into which high pressure leak from deep venous system has occurred. The complications of varicose veins are thrombophlebitis, that is inflammation of superficial veins, eczema, that is itching, and minor trauma. And because of, as the patient scratches over that varicose veins, as there is itching, there will be eczema formation, and later on there will be venous ulcer that is formed either on the varicose veins or following the deep venous thrombosis. Okay, this is all about the varicose veins. Then the homework for today is you have to write down the whole varicose veins and you have to post it by tomorrow 5 p.m. Okay, thank you.